Michael de Montaigne, a 16th century French philosopher, once said, "My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened." And his words speak to a powerful truth. Our fears often hold more power than the situations we fear themselves. And in today's episode, we will dive into how fear shapes our decisions and why most of what we worry about never actually comes to pass. If you're ready to overcome some of those mental roadblocks, let's dive in. You are listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. I am your host, Agnieszka Wood, a trading mindset coach and a seasoned day trader with over a decade of experience. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. In this podcast, we explore the fascinating world of psychology and the human element of trading. We take a deep dive into different perspectives to inspire you and help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of trading with self-compassion and confidence. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, this podcast is your trusted companion providing support on your trading journey. Get ready to boost your confidence and unlock the secrets to mastering your mindset for success. Welcome to episode 53, The Fear That Holds You Back. Why most of what you worry about never happens. And I want to welcome you, Greg, to our episodes.
Thank you. Again, one of my favorite things to look forward to is jumping on and having a discussion with you, and hopefully providing some helpful insight for everybody out there who's listening. So I'm excited to be back.
Awesome, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic with you because we just came back, both of us, from very different trips. I went to Sedona in Arizona, and you went on the cruise. So totally different landscapes.
Oh, we did completely different landscapes, but I can't wait to discuss how we both were able to approach many different aspects of our lives. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Because, the quote that I brought up from Michael de Montaigne, "My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened." That is very true for our life in general. And, there's a lot of fears, common fears that we are facing every day, especially as traders. We have a lot of irrational fears, and they stop us from making rational decisions. They stop us from expanding our limits and from really truly live out of our full potential. But before we get there, I actually do want to talk about our trips because it seems like we both were facing some of our fears in real time. And well, let's start with you. Let's start talking about your cruise, because before you left, you told me that you expecting maybe some sort of fireworks in that area. So just tell us a little bit more about what attitude and what expectations you went on. This was your first cruise, right?
It was. This was my first cruise, and I think it's so indicative that you and I are chatting about this specific topic just because of what just transpired from me just getting back from what I considered to be the second biggest fear that I ever had to come face to face with in my life. I'd never been on a cruise before, and I have vertigo, and I was super nervous going in, hoping that I'd be able to manage the environment and be able to minimize the ability for me to have experiencing that vertigo aspect. Because once you experience that, it's very difficult to come back from it from a physical sense. You kind of just have to, ride it out.
Right.
And
your body remembers that also, right? So when you go in there second time, you're like, okay, I know that my body is going to shoot right that direction. And what do I
do? Oh, yes. And I was went in with a positive mindset. You and I had chatted before I even left about doing some visualization and making sure that, I'm putting myself in the right position, mentally before I even jump into that. And what shocked me the most was the vertigo never happened, which was great.
Visualization worked.
That was amazing. And then it came to the boat just rocking. back and forth to a degree that walking down the hallway of the boat to get it back to our room, it's, keep your hands out left and right because you're hitting the hallway as you're walking back. So there's no stability whatsoever. And then being back in the room, we were toward the front of the boat, and you could hear the waves hitting the hull of the boat like a drum, just beating. And it was consistent echoing in our room. And that became, oh my God, this is it for me. Like the boat's going to capsize. Oh my God, I'm going to be out in the middle of the ocean. This is going to be like Titanic for me. Oh my God. And obviously none of it came true. But facing all of those physical aspects of being in that room and not even being able to stand still, going into the bathroom and seeing the towels just swaying back and forth, and even laying in bed and just feeling that drop of your stomach was nightmarish for me. It was
that sounds like a nightmare. So
it was brutal.
let's unpack it a little bit. So when that was happening, so you had some external stimulation,
Yes.
of course, and then you had internal reaction. Your body started reacting. Were you able, like, if you would look back, to distinguish, was it the thinking about what happens that started creating your physical reactions, or was it physical reaction because the boat was rocking and then you started making scenarios in your head?
That's amazing that you're asking that question, because this is basically what I was doing in the room with Elena, my girlfriend. We're there, and I was talking through, and I had already gone in kind of with that thought process that this is an option that may happen with rough seas. And so the entire time, I actually put those fears away because the ocean was pretty calm. And
Right.
then when the physical environment and the response system happened with the rocking and the sound and the movement, that ended up triggering back into the thought process of, oh boy, this is going to happen. So I was verbally saying out loud, I'm very used to being able to take a mental aspect and calm it down because I can bring you to a physical environment. I can bring you to your breath. I can bring you to, recognizing what's in the room. I can bring you to a physical location that you feel safe and comfortable
Right.
and seen. And I actually didn't know how to flip that in the process when the physical environment, I couldn't get grounded, which led my mental side to go, oh boy,
Right.
we're going downhill.
That is so interesting, isn't it? That you had no control over the external environment at all.
At all.
And also no way to, like, the only way you could have keep yourself calm was just to have the peace that something might happen
Mm-hmm.
and that you have no influence on it, which is so
Yes.
difficult in that situation, right?
Oh my
Because
God. Oh
that's
yeah.
like the ultimate.
Oh,
Okay,
it
I'm
was.
I'm just gonna die. Let me be
Yep.
in peace with that.
Yep.
Right?
That was but again, nobody else. I mean, Elena was feeling it, feeling the swaying, and she was a little bit, nervous, but she wasn't my level, and which helped me be able to recognize, okay, I'm a little bit on the we're way too far on what's really happening side. Um, and I was able to actually help. She was able to calm me down a little bit, even though she was a little bit anxious. But because her level didn't match mine, I was able to try to bring back the realization that, okay, I'm projecting a little too much here. We need to find a balance, because the physical environment couldn't do it.
So what helped you to come back to more calmness? And was it the rational thought? Was it like the stats saying, it really doesn't happen very often that the ship flips and sinks?
No, it doesn't. And all the people that had said, "Oh God, there's way more plane accidents than there are boats flipping," I'd be like, "That's fair. That's a wonderful explanation." It didn't help when I was in the middle of it. But what did help is I recognized that my focal point, was on the thought process of what was happening to the boat and the swaying back and forth. So, and because that the physical environment resonated with my fears, I had to take myself out of that mental state and I had a switch. So I actually ended up moving from our room. And I said, listen, I'm going to go down to the casino. I'm not a huge gambler. So I went down to the casino because that was more toward the center of the boat in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of just meandered and walked around the casino and just listened to different sounds and would stand behind a few people and watch some gambling aspects of, roulette and blackjack, baccarat, those kinds of things, and just create my focal point on what was happening in front of me and the cards that were getting flipped or the numbers that were getting hit. And that helped me, move out of that panic state and more into okay, it's still happening. I can still feel it, but my focal point is now not addressed in projection. It's addressed in reality, which is what's in front of me. And that's how I approach it.
That's awesome. So that's basically bringing your focus back to present moment and what's in front of you.
Correct. And the only way I could do that was knowing that the environment that I was sitting in my bedroom and feeling the swaying, even laying on the bed, that physical environment wasn't enough for me to take my focal point off it. So I knew I had to change it. And as soon as I started changing it, everything started to shift a little bit more toward the positive side.
I have to say, you took also a very challenging approach to the location of your room, knowing that you have vertigo, because being at the very front, at the very top, that's like asking for trouble.
It was. Yep.
Yeah. So that next time, if there will be next time.
Yes. If is a big if at the current
moment. The middle and the low, usually the deck 8 or 9, they are still, at the right level, at least for me. My biggest fear when I went on the first cruise of mine, when I finally went, because I had the very same thing. It's like a lot of people on the boat, a lot of people together. Like if something happens, there's just no way we are being saved, right? Titanic in my mind. And we've all seen Titanic. I grew up on watching Titanic, the old version, black and white. It's just like no go. But once I went, all those fears just disappeared. And I think the biggest part of it was just staying present of what actually is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I can so imagine, and I have not been in a situation as you're explaining where, the sea was rough.
It was very rough.
I think the closest to a fear during cruise was when I went on a cruise to Alaska. And, when you go north, it was just so interesting. And I didn't realize it was so foggy. You could not see beyond your balcony.
Oh my God, that would be worse for me. Congrats to you.
The whole night, the ship goes, and every now, like, I don't know if it's like every 45 seconds. I don't exactly remember how often, but when you sleep, it sounds really often. It just feels like all the time. They blow the horn because of, other ships going the opposite way. So just being in that environment and having the realization, okay, so are they not they're not seeing anything, or what is happening?
Oh my God, bravo to you for you to be able to do that. That would have been crazy scary.
Well, once I was on it, I really had no choice,
That's true. That's true. You just have to take the environment that's presented to you and do the best you can.
Yeah, but that is so interesting, to realize that when you are having that fear and you are in an environment where you actually literally have no control over the external environment. Because in trading, we are saying you don't have control over the market, right? You can only control yourself. The conditions are completely unpredictable. So that's similar. But in trading, you can just walk away.
Oh, yeah, correct. You have the ability to take your physical environment and shut your laptop down or turn your computer screen off and be like, all right, okay, I can get back to regulating myself. I can do this. But when it's presented in a physical environment, it is, wow, it's one of the biggest challenges I had ever faced for sure in my life.
Well, congratulations. You are here.
No, thank you.
All well and one experience richer.
I made it. I lived to tell the story. I couldn't wait to get back and jump on the podcast.
I must have felt you that I said, hey, why don't we talk about fears, right?
Yes. When you had said that, my face lit up, and my cheeks are hurting right now from smiling because it's, it was definitely a top five rewarding moment for me, but 100% a top five challenging moment for me because getting through it really gave me that perspective of, oh, okay, we're back on land. We made it. I made it. It was probably close to eight or nine straight hours of that experience,
Wow.
and that's a lengthy time to experience that type. Um, but as soon as we got on land, it was a realization for me of how much I created the own fear that never truly existed. And once I came back to, I made it through it, it was a realization moment of, fears really are so much of what you project to happen, as we do in trading consistently, rather than what is truly actually happening. And
Yeah.
it was is incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, that's such a fantastic experience. We truly create our own reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we always have the choice how we do that.
Yeah.
And fears, you know, one of the things that is about fears is that we are wired to look for danger.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have this sort of a natural tendency of thinking in the worst case scenarios,
Yeah.
simply because we have fight or flight response, and that's what we are noticing first. What can go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where our focus goes. And regardless whether you are on land or on water or wherever you are, this is just our natural thing to do. And
Yeah.
I think just realizing that and being aware of that, and your experience, as you say, showed you like once you came on land, you realize like what a great imagination you have.
Yeah.
And maybe you realized I could be writing movies.
Yes, 1,000,000%. It was definitely a wonderful yet frightening experience. And this is coming from someone who, I mean, I've been doing this type of work for over 10 years. And, I know a whole bunch of steps and everything that I could do to try to get myself into, creating a nervous system that's much more calm and at peace and understanding. But this was, again, just to show you guys, even 10 plus years of doing all this stuff, it still drums up. You still have to challenge yourself. And even though you may know everything or think you may know everything, you do not. Something will definitely challenge you in a way that you did not expect.
Yeah, because it's like it's this combination of things. It's the external environment, it's your physical body that
Mm-hmm.
just respond or reacts to the environment, and then there is your mind, which is when you get into that fight or flight response, it just takes its own course and it sort of like hijacks your
Yeah.
your thinking, and
It,
that's where the whole movie starts playing out.
Oh, that it does. This was the more I equated it, I mean, to put it in a much simpler way, this was just a 1,000,000 times worse than the exaggeration of when a trade goes bad and you go, "Oh God, I'm a terrible trader," or "I lost another trade. Here we go again," and then you think everything's terrible. It was just a magnified example of it's not it's not what you believe it to be. Your fears are not as prevalent as you believe them to be. And in trading, we experience it on wins and losses. And maybe you get out of a trade too quickly and you see that you could have made, X amount more profit, or get out of a trade because it was going shorter and it goes back, it goes the opposite way, whatever it is. Those fears are just not a true reality. And this was a definite light bulb moment for how badly sometimes that does happen in life.
Yeah. So it's also maybe a good realization, to things to remember, that creating those fears in trading is just not worth it, right? Because it overloads your system, and there are really much more scary
Mm-hmm.
things in life than those things we imagine in trading. Like,
Yeah.
what if I will never make it? Really? Like,
Yeah.
why would you put yourself in that situation and stress your body like that? Like, what is the chance that you will never make it? What
Yep.
does that even mean? Or the loss from yesterday, how is that gonna kill you? You know what I mean? It's like, how, like, what is the
Yeah.
true danger
Yeah.
of taking a loss? Because the exaggeration of it is just, amplifying those worst case scenarios. And if you really start digging into it, it's like, what's the chance that this is going to happen?
It 1,000,000% is, and I hope that from the experience I'm talking about, and I know you had just had the experience in Sedona, so I'd love to hear your side
Yeah,
of.
which was, completely different. I went with the idea to hike in Sedona. So we did some research and we had only 2 days there. So we have decided to do like the major hikes. And one of them was the Cathedral Rock, and the other one was the Devil's Bridge, which is like, yeah. So the bridge is, it's pretty high, and it's like a platform that's few feet wide and like a drop of 70 feet down. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but at some point in my life, years ago, I discovered that I had a fear of heights all of a sudden. And it's not like, when I'm in a hotel or when I'm in a close environment. It's more like when I stand on a cliff somewhere and there is a drop off, right? Like when there's a clear drop off and there is a realistic, pretty realistic chance that you might fall, then something in my stomach just turns and I'm like, I, I get that physical reaction. And it's not just for myself, but like if I see my husband getting too close to the edge, I like turn around and like, I can't watch this. I just can't watch this. So, so we went, and the first hike was the Cathedral Rock, and it was described as short and steep
Okay.
instead of short and
Okay.
sweet.
Yeah, I'd rather short and sweet, but short and steep is good luck.
Yes. So we just started. I mean, everyone was going. Like you saw a lot of people. It was pretty busy too. So like everyone, on top of each other almost. And while we were going up, first it started pretty okay. There was a little hike
Mhm.
up. The rocks were sort of slippery, but we had hiking shoes. My first hiking shoes, and I am so happy about it. I think everyone heard about my hiking shoes so far. Uh, I totally, I am totally in love with those shoes because I did not realize that they work that well when you are actually going up on a slippery slope and you can actually do that. You're not slipping, it's
That's
like
amazing. That's
fantastic.
amazing.
This is probably what hiking shoes are supposed to do. But for me, this was like mind blowing. I'm like, look what I can do in those shoes. They're like superhuman shoes. They glue me to the
That's
rock.
amazing.
So at some point, it became a little bit more difficult, and you had to. So there was like how do you say it? A very narrow
Mhm.
passage where you had to really choose where you put your foot on. You had to pull yourself up or push yourself
Okay.
up and really do some effort, like distribute a weight, from your legs to your arms. And like I still can feel my abs. So it was a really good workout. But that was something I definitely did not expect. Okay. What I noticed was that going up, I had no problem with that. Going up was fine.
Oh,
Even when
okay.
we went all the way to the top, which I was surprised, I did not realize how far we would go. It was just beautiful. Just the environment and the outlook was so stunning that I did not think or feel for a moment any danger. My body wasn't reacting. And that was also the attitude I went
Mhm.
with. It was, I'm just going to see, I'm just curious how my body will
Sure.
react. So out of that curiosity, I think I wasn't really paying attention of like, okay, we are pretty high, and yeah, I can feel it in my ears. It's high, but it was beautiful. Now on the way back was a little bit different story because now you see where you're going and you see you're going, it's steep and you're going down. You cannot look up anymore. You have to look down where you're going. And that was the same the other day, the next day when we went to Devil's Bridge. That hike was even more steep at the end, especially where you had really like small places, small rocks where you put your legs. And there were a lot of people around me. And that made me feel uncomfortable because while I was going down, I felt like someone, breathing on my neck almost. At some point, I actually turned around and I said, would you mind to like, wait a minute until, just in case. I'm like, if all these people are just start falling on me, and that's where the scenario started to pop in my head.
Oh my God.
In the meantime, I'm like in the middle of that rock and I'm seeing my
Yep.
husband already down there looking at me. And I see that there is still a lot of distance between us. And that's where I felt in my body, I felt the nerves. I felt
Yeah.
coming, and that sort of, that paralyzing warmth that takes you
Mhm.
right from your feet to up your body and top of your head. And I recognized that fear.
Yep.
The first thing that came up was, oh no, not that. Because I knew that if I go that way, this is just going to spiral and I'm not going to be able to get down. So the first thing I said, like, no, not that. I took a big, deep breath.
Mhm.
And I was saying to myself, where is my next step? Next step, just next step. Where do I put my feet? Okay, I put my feet here, now my hand here. And I truly started focusing on every single step to get myself down.
That's perfect. It's literally the analogy that we try to, bestow to everybody. It's one step at a time. It's one little tiny aspect. And
Yeah.
look at
And
you
that was
implementing
the
that.
same what you did. Focus on the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not where the fear is. The fears
Mm-hmm.
are either in the past or in the future. What might happen? What if that, what if this gonna slip? And finally I catched up with my husband and he's just standing there and like, touch this rock. Look, it feels like wood.
Yeah, your husband sounds exactly like my girlfriend, who was like, "Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we're just rocking back and forth." And your husband's like, "Oh no, look, it's just a rock." Meanwhile, you and I are going, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God."
Yeah. I can I can see you still
Oh,
experiencing
yeah,
your
you
last
can
adventure.
when you can relive it, man. It's definitely going to take, and I'm only home for a few days now. I haven't even been home a week yet. So I'm still processing yeah, no, we're good. Because when I got off the boat, it still took me a little while to get, a little over a day. It took me to get rid of that sit down, and I'd still feel like that rocking
Mm.
feeling of, oh, wait, it's still here. So that physical sensation even took a while to get out of my body before I could process all of all right, we're good. I'm back on land. We're not moving. Yes.
Yeah. And when you said it, I really I had to think about that this actually applies also to trading because there is a certain part of the fear that is exhausting, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you put yourself into that mode of being fearful, there is a physical impact
Mm-hmm.
on your body, right?
Definitely.
That's why a lot of traders get I don't want to say overworked, but burnout
Yeah.
because of that burden of being constantly under stress. Because when you are fearful, your body is under stress. You are in that fight or flight mode, trying to cope, not even manage or deal, trying to cope.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear is clouding your judgment totally. So sometimes instead of stopping and taking some rest, you're pushing even harder and exhausting yourself even more. And
Mm-hmm.
that continues even when you walk away from your desk. That still
Yeah,
continues that
it
that
does.
impact because it is still in your head, ruminating thoughts and
Yep.
trying to figure out why you did it, how you did that, and like really exhausting yourself even more by punishing yourself mentally.
Agreed. You beat yourself up. And it has, I mean, when you mentally continue to have a boxing ring with, yourself and your trades, your physical body doesn't know the difference. Your physical body doesn't know what trading is or anything like that. It just knows the response system from what you feed it. And when you feed it a very healthy dose of fear and self-doubt and pessimism, your body will react.
Right. So the best way to deal with fears, whether it's FOMO, fear of, losses, or all kinds of fear, basically dealing with your fears in an uncertain environment, because this is where the most fears are coming up. When you really don't know what's going to happen, that's when we become fearful. So when you trade and you are in that uncertainty, the best way to deal with that is to get back into the present moment. Anchor yourself with the thoughts that are focused on what's in front of you. What is it that you know and not that might happen? And help yourself with some like even stats, like, okay, what is the chance? What is the true probability that the scenarios you're talking about is actually going to happen?
Yeah, because I can tell you, and just as I think you had alluded to it, that the amount of cruise ships that capsize and roll over is so minute, if any, that I just threw out the facts and stats and was like, nope, this is going to be it. It's over. I'm the one boat. And the reality of that situation was that 100% was not the truth. And the stats and reality of that, just like it is in trading, the stats and reality of your positives and negative trades are not what you imagine them to be. And you have to come back to some form of reality based in where you are and the true nature of what's happening in the moment, rather than what has or might happen.
Yeah. And there are a lot of tools that help you with that regulation. So mind and body work together, right? So you can calm yourself down from your mind perspective, telling yourself, okay, what is the chance, right? And then from your body perspective, really focus on your breath, because that's in the present moment.
Yeah.
Did that help you? Did that help you there?
That's the most challenging aspect. And I was verbally talking about this out loud with my girlfriend, because this is just how I work best, when I can either continue to move forward, like in walking and making sure my body's moving in a direction that keeps my mind moving forward, or being able to talk out a process. And I was verbally saying, okay, so in this instance, what's always been the challenge for me is, in a mental state, I can get you to calm in a physical state, because I can make you point out things in life, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, like that type of thing, to bring you back to your regular senses and bring you back to fact. And that was in a mental state, but this was a complete opposite flip. And the physical state of what I was in was causing the mental anguish. And I had never experienced a way to do that. And I kept saying, babe, so how do I flip the process between mental to physical, from now physical to mental, when the physical is causing and the environment is causing me the stress and fear in the mental side? How do I flip that process? Like, wow, all right, that's a completely different challenge. I haven't done that yet. How would I go about it? And I just walked through the process of being able to, okay, here's what I would do mentally. So I need to change my physical environment. I need to change the location that I'm in. And then once I change the location, I then need to change my thought process. And that's why I went into the casino and started focusing on different things, because I needed to switch that whole entire process and flip it on its head, from mental to physical to mental. And it was a wow moment for sure.
Well, this is a great experience. And, I love the fact that you're saying that you're talking actually about process and focusing on the process, because of course in trading we also always talk about focusing on the process and not on the outcome, because in your case, if you focus on the outcome is we are Titanic, we are going to end up
Correct.
at the bottom of the ocean.
And see you guys later. This was really fun. I enjoyed the podcast, but I'll never be able to do it again. And like, that was all the stuff that was just not reality. And in trading, we do it often. oh, I'm going to lose my whole account. This is over. I'm never going to be able to trade again. Is that I used to do that stupid line of thinking, and I'm not immune to it. It just happened to creep back up in a different way, shape, or form when I was able to tackle it during trading and overcome it. I was presented with a different opportunity in life to try to tackle and overcome it in a different way.
Yeah.
And same with you. Same with your climbing.
So interesting talking to you about this and just realizing that everyone has some sort of fear, right? And if you are completely fearless, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I applaud you. Yes, definitely. And there
Congrats.
are
I'd like
people
to
who are
shake your
complete,
hand.
like,
Yeah.
for example, people who are climbing mountains without any securities, right? Without the rope, without anything.
Yeah. Free climbing.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I cannot even comprehend
Yeah.
that type of freedom.
Yeah. That's stunning.
Because it's it's a freedom in your mind, right?
Yeah.
You completely have to, and I've watched a lot of the documentaries about that, trying to understand the way that they think and how they think. It really expands your perspective, and it confronts you with your own limits.
100%. And your own limits are, I mean, so very present. Depending on what you choose to expose yourself to. Even in trading, when you trade, your limits are exposed very quickly when you decide to get in and out of a trade. And when you take the trading limits that you impose on yourself and you start to strip them away, you start to become more free at being able to enter and exit trades, knowing that your process and your strategy is something that you've developed and you've tested and you know it can work. And you start to find comfort in that. And that's the same thing that you and I just did, that our process and our structure and what happened, we were able to challenge ourselves to a level that I was, I mean, massively scared and nervous from. But it ended up coming out to basically the same outcome that I figured out in trading as well. That the reality is your process needed to be reshaped and formed to a point where you could get to a result that you were happy with. And we both were able to do that in a non-trading aspect. But I think because of what we're able to do in trading.
Yes, I think so too. And I think the limits that we have, they can always be extended. So no matter how far you go with your limits, you can always extend it. So in trading, for example, if you want to increase your size, right? A lot of times you limit yourself with size in order to be able to handle risk. At least that's what the proper way should be. You should not be risking more than you can handle. But then if you increase that limit, then you are exposed to another certain level of discomfort, and you have to get used to that, right? So that's your limit, and then you can always increase the limit. With climbing, it could be, you can always go higher and higher and higher, and then maybe eventually climb without anything but your climbing shoes or your
okay, and bravo to the climbing shoes. Bravo.
Let's not forget the tools are important. The tools are important for sure. So I want to mention one more thing. You guys, as my listeners, you are invited to a free masterclass I will be giving next Wednesday. That is April 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you're struggling with the emotional cycle of fear, or where you know what your plan is and you know what you want to achieve, but somehow there's too much pressure, you can't stick to it, and you just drop everything and run, right? You try to survive, you try to just to cope with the situation. If you are stuck in that loop and it stops you from moving forward, from expanding your limits, I invite you to join my class. Because remember, the real issue is really not about pushing harder or being tougher on yourself, telling yourself, don't be afraid, because that simply doesn't work, right? The moment you start focusing on not being afraid, that's where you put your attention, and you're becoming even more afraid, and the fear is jumping all over you. So it's really about shifting that emotional cycle that is leading to impulsive decisions, and most of the time to self-sabotage. So those are the things that I will be covering in my masterclass. And you will learn a simple 4-step process that will help you follow your plan without spiraling. Trade with grounded confidence and how to stop sabotaging yourself emotionally. So if you are ready to stop the cycle and the pressure and start trading with the clarity that you have been searching for and the confidence, this masterclass is for you. Go to tradingmindsetmasterclass.com and you can register for free. And I look forward to seeing you there.
I would highly recommend everyone who's listening and probably to grab another person or two to jump into the masterclass, because there is no question you will walk away a far better human and a far better trader when you're done listening to Agnieszka and how she decides to go about it. You will be a better human and a better trader for sure. So I highly recommend you jump in.
Thank you so much, Rich. I'm very excited about the class. I actually just finished my group program, The Rise of the Profitable Trader, the Winter Accelerator. We just had a graduation call yesterday, and just seeing the growth that can happen within 12 weeks and how far you can get from being stuck to where you are completely in a different position emotionally, mentally, mindset wise, in trading and in life. That is just mind-blowing. And I wish that for everyone, every single person, not just trader, but for every single person to be able to, make the decision for yourself, to let yourself to expand your limits and get into a different winning mind state. So I'm looking forward to see you guys. Tradingmindsetmasterclass.com. You can register for free. Thank you, Greg, for joining me today again and for sharing this amazing story. And thank you for being that vulnerable and showing the real side, like what it really is, without making things better than they are, because that's what really counts, being genuine and really telling how it is.
I agree. And being authentic and genuine is usually how I choose to operate. And I don't hold any judgment to anyone who ever experiences or expresses their fears, because as you and I just walked through both ours, that is when you find the most growth in your life. So I encourage everybody to be authentic and as genuine as you possibly can be.
Yes, because the fears are really something, at least that's what, I have achieved a lot in life. And I do think that was also because I had so many fears that I had to conquer.
Yeah.
That is stimulating the growth as long as you are aware of it and as long as you take them head on and start facing your fears.
Yeah, agreed. Couldn't have said it a better way. Bravo.
Thank you so much, Greg. And we'll talk next time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And I hope you got some value from our conversation, and maybe even you got encouraged to go climbing or experiencing a cruise. Please feel free to follow us on social media. We'll post this episode information on our Instagram, and reach out, put some things in comments, like if you want to share about your own fear, your experience. We are here to listen and maybe give you some tips how you can approach your fears to expand your limits.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, everyone, and talk to you next time. Thank you for listening to the Confidence in Trading podcast. If you are enjoying my show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tell me what you like about it. Thanks to you, more traders will be able to find me, and together we'll make a bigger impact. So thank you so much. If you are new to my show, don't forget to subscribe so you can come back for the next episode. And make sure to also check some of the previous shows. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Agnieszka Wood from Ahead Coach. Bye for now.